The 2022 FIFA World Cup is in full swing right now, despite claims of bribery, embezzlement, and alleged blatant human rights violations. At the time of this video, the tiny country of Qatar is currently being visited by 1 million tourists, even though it only has a population of 3 million people itself. It may be the third wealthiest country in the world right now, but just a few years ago, Qatar did not have the infrastructure to support this many visitors. This past decade has seen a multi-billion-dollar revamp of the country in order to ensure Qatar has the means to host the World Cup. And not only has Qatar been building an absurd amount of stadiums to host matches, but they've been pouring money into modernizing their infrastructure as a whole. Qatar has added new cities, new roads, improved its airports, and done so much that the country has ended up spending hundreds of billions of dollars more than any other World Cup host in history. On this episode of Built a Billion, we'll discover what Qatar spent all that money on and discuss whether it was worth it. Please subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you want to hear about all the mega projects of the world, 1 billion at a time. When Qatar was selected to host the World Cup in 2010, the estimated cost to spruce up the place was estimated to be at $65 billion. Today, we know that the country spent $300 billion on infrastructure projects, making Qatar that one friend who always overdoes it. For perspective, the recent Brazil and Russia World Cups only cost $11.5 billion and $14 billion respectively. There are some mega projects in Qatar that will have a long-term benefit, but there are numerous ones that only serve a purpose for the World Cup. Over 10 years, funding went towards roads, bridges, subway lines, and water treatment plants. But the largest amount of money went towards building Lusail City, located north of central Doha. It cost $45 billion to build this mega city on what was just a desert in 2010. Lusail City boasts an artificial archipelago, say that 5 times fast, and the impressive Lusail Stadium, where the World Cup final will be held. Lusail City stretches 38 square kilometers and is the country's first sustainable smart city. As it is still being added upon, the city will eventually hold 450,000 people across 18 different districts. But probably the most iconic feature of Lusail City are the Qatar Towers located in its Marina district. The Qatar Towers house the VIP guests during the FIFA World Cup, and it is, to me, the crown gem of the country. The close proximity of stadiums with transport links allow fans to be able to attend more than one game in a single day. That's where the $36 billion driverless metro system in Doha comes in. The train travels to 5 of the 8 World Cup stadiums, and in addition to this, there's an electric fleet of buses available. In a very convenient twist for the fans, all games will be played within 31 miles of Doha, which is refreshing. Usually fans have to travel to different cities for different matches. And in order to accommodate these fans, Qatar built hundreds of hotels, service apartment towers, and even are using cruise ships to serve as floating hotels, which makes available thousands of extra rooms. 6,000 porta cabins have been installed in the World Cup village for guests, and the government will donate these cabins to low-income countries after the event, so that's a nice thing. The construction market in Qatar will continue to thrive long after the World Cup is gone. According to Mordor Intelligence, an international consultancy firm, Qatar's construction market will be valued at $76.98 billion by 2026, which would make its annual growth 10.54% from 2021 to 2026. It's anticipated that funding for construction will increase as the government strives to diversify its economy away from oil. Qatar also has an investment plan called the National Vision 2030. This plan is to facilitate the modernization of its cities and ensure their sustainable growth. It will steer Qatar's development over the next few years, and the GDP of the country is already expected to increase 4.5% in 2023. Qatar is quickly becoming one of the most advanced countries in the area. The $300 billion infrastructural improvement will make the country better in many lasting ways, but the question remains as to what Qatar's legacy will be when it's all said and done. Was this exorbitant amount of money worth 4 weeks of soccer? Let's look at the stadiums, for instance. 7 of the 8 stadiums were built from scratch, but the country's population of 3 million will have little to no use for this many stadiums after the tournament. But the tournament organizers feel they have solved this issue by creating stadiums with modular elements that can be reconfigured after the tournament into something that will have use for many years after the FIFA World Cup. One stadium will be used for football after the tournament, one will be completely dismantled, and the other 6 venues will have half their seats removed and donated to developing countries in order to improve their sports infrastructure. Qatar may also use these stadiums as a reason to bid for more events in the future, like the Europa or Champions League. But the dismantling and shipping of stadium parts will cause Qatar to spend more money after the World Cup, and then there's the annual maintenance and operation costs of the remaining stadiums to worry about. The stadiums will also permanently eliminate potential real estate opportunities that could have been. To add to this, the metro station is great for getting to the games, but what about after the World Cup? The transit system doesn't seem very useful after the fact. All this being said, the government hopes the end of the World Cup will signal the start of a new era for Qatar marked by a stronger economy. It hopes to make the country a major player on the world stage, boosting tourism, foreign trade, and investment. What do you think about this billion-dollar infrastructural improvement? Let me know in the comments below. I've also done a video that goes into detail of the 8 stadiums that are hosting the 2022 World Cup, and that should be on the screen. If you haven't already, please don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. In the meantime, click a video on the screen to watch something you haven't seen. And thanks for visiting Built a Billion.